Hi guys, welcome back to the shed. Saturday morning, tell a lie, Sunday morning. Sorry I've not been doing any videos lately. It's been sort of tied up with stuff to do. Trying to get some steel work together to show you sort of panelling up and spot welding, plug welding, those type of techniques. I'm trying to get some good quality steel to show you the difference between a good quality steel and a galvanized or a Zintek plated piece of steel that doesn't weld up so well. And some of you guys out there might be trying to use plated steel to do your structural repairs or even your panel repairs, and it just doesn't work, and you might think that it's something that you're doing and it's not. So once I've got that, I've got my MIG all organised. I've got my air juggler, panel tools, panel punches all ready. Last part, just get some decent steel in. Today, you're probably aware of my quest for spray guns. I have dozens of spray guns and always interested in finding the next best gun out there to do something. So this last week I've bought another spray gun. So this is going to be a sort of a review on this little spray gun. Because of the heritage of probably some of the world's leading best guns, like the W400, you know, I've got a set of those. The Supernova's got a set of those. So the Anest Iwata, to me, is still one of the best guns on the market. Yes, DeVille Passata, I'm not going to knock those at all. They all do what they say on the tin. But I do sort of like Anest Iwata. So this week I've bought one of these. I've seen these about for a while, and I thought I can't really see the use of one of the functions that it has. So I bought one. Let's try it, see how we get on. It's the W101. It's a 3/4 size gun. It's not one of these mini jets that it's really too small to use. It's a good size gun for your hand. As you can see, my hand is actually totally inside the handle. Everything fits as it should. When I say 3/4 size, I'm talking about the ability to paint things in smaller areas. So this gun I would particularly use for spraying something like motorcycle parts. Big guns are okay, but if you're spraying a small motorcycle part and you have a fan this wide, most of the paint is going past your object, so why would you waste paint? So I wanted a gun that sprays like a big gun, but is smaller, slightly smaller fan, so as I can keep all the material going on the part that I'm painting. I have found one other gun that works absolutely perfect, which is the Iwata W300. I've yet to fault that. It's a fantastic gun. So this one, I'm going to say it's on the lines of the W300. There's not a great deal of difference. The only difference I can see is the facility for this 360 rotating cup. Now, if you want to paint something upside down, up to now I've always used the PPS cup systems, because you can paint totally inverted with those without needing to swivel the pot. So this was my theory of why would you need to swivel the pot. But this design came out, I would imagine, in the 70s. So from that point of view, at that time we didn't have PPS cups. So I just wanted to experience what a swiveling cup would be like without PPS. That said, you can get the right angled PPS adapter. Adapter number 10 for this gun. So this adapter will screw on the side, and I can use all my PPS, whether it be a big 500-600mm pot, whether a smaller 200mm, whatever. So the full range of PPS I can output to this, and other things that use PPS I can still put through this. This one I've chose the 1.5mm tip and a H2 cap. Now that was particular. On my W300 I bought the 1.2, which is brilliant, no problem whatsoever. So there's no point getting another 1.2. Didn't want to go smaller, going to a 1mm or whatever. I've had I think it was a W77, the 1mm in those is so fine, it makes it sort of almost unusable really. It's okay as like a fade out gun, but no good to put material on. So I thought I'd go up, and in this gun range it goes 1.3, 1.5, 1.8. That's the ranges for it. So I've chosen 1.5, and it's actually quite a very fine 1.5. Nice H2 air cap. Once again, decent size air cap. It's not as big as a full size gun, but decent enough that it's going to atomize the paint. And you have to bear in mind that all the technology that's in like the Supernovas now came from the guys making these originally. So there's a good usable air cap on there. I've set it at 2 bars to start with, as most modern conventional guns, but I find you don't actually need that. Because it's a slightly smaller air cap, you can cut your air pressures down. So anything from 22 psi or something like that. So it's not going to be a big air user. So you guys out there that want to do hobby stuff with a smaller compressor, or like I say, you're just painting a motorcycle part that you don't need 20 CFM of air, this fits the bill. I have found the use for this pot is very good, because you can swivel the pot and change the gun to whatever angle you're using, gun upside down or whatever. So it does work, and I can see why they used it at the time. However, I still will favour my PPS, apart from if I'm keeping it in the vertical position. Then obviously I use this pot because it's okay. A little bit of a gripe with it, not too serious. The lids themselves, I don't fit securely enough on the pot, so I would anticipate a possible drip from the lid. So as a security measure, a piece of masking tape after you've put your material in, just to stop any drips, because there's nothing worse than a drip of paint. But actually from the gun's paintability, it's absolutely fantastic. We've got about a 200mm fan size, so once again plenty of size to paint your motorcycle tank. So you'd still only need minimum passes over a motorcycle tank. It's not that you're going to go over like one of these cheaper mini jets where you might have to go over 20 or 30 passes to go over the tank. This is a decent enough fan for that. Popped a little bit of solvent in. It's only base coat thinners. I still use HVLP fittings on everything that I've got. It's only just for convenience. This wouldn't necessarily need a HVLP air cap. Sorry, a fitting. Get everything water from the line. Right. Checker valve on the bottom of the gun, which is a good feature. If you didn't have any facility to monitor your pressures to actually get the correct reading, or a replicable reading, I would say. To me, I've always said this about pressures. Set your gun up to what you want out the gun. It's not, the manufacturer says 20 psi, so 20 psi is going to be every paint job that you get out of it. But the beauty of having a gauge is, if you've painted, say, a motorcycle part, and you've recorded that that's at 20 psi, the next time you have to replicate, say the guys come off the motorbike and you need to replace or repair a fender or a mudguard or whatever, you can set your gun back as it was originally. So there's more chance of achieving the same orange peel as you painted the rest of the gun with. And that's what it's all about for me. It's about to replicate what you've already done, not to set the gun up. You set the gun up as it's painting. I know, I think all my other videos I've said this, and I think you're following me on that one. So I've set this now to about 20 psi. I'll bring it up quite close. There we go. Great big fan. That is a really good size fan for a small gun. Wall of air test. I don't know whether you'll hear this. I'll bring it closer. There we go, that's the change of air sound. So that is my panel paint distance. So if you got that. So if we now look at the fan at that placing, which is here, that's perfectly atomized. The solvent coming out from there now is consistent right the way through. This spray gun again, the Iwatas are, or the Supernovas, one of their main features is the oblong shaped pattern on the wall rather than the oval one. Some samples I was doing yesterday on the wall here, this is much the same. It's an oblong rather than a bloated sided, like a fish shaped sort of pattern. So once again, I go down to the wall. You see that on the wall? It's actually quite a nice oblong rather than the old style. And once again, this is an 18-inch piece of masking tape and it's just about halfway. So we're looking at like a 9-inch pattern from this. I can turn the pressure right down. This is running about 16 psi. Even bigger pattern. Okay, so if you look at the actual material coming out the gun at that pressure, droplets are a little bit bigger, but it's a good sized fan. Put the pressure back up to the 20. That's where I would paint, at about 20 psi, 22 psi. Fully controllable gun, as all of them. There's no trick bits, all spray guns do this now. You can go right down, set the pressure again, so change the fan size. So it will paint little tiny dots, about 3/4 of an inch sort of in size. And then anything in between that, so if you wanted to dust in something and only doing a fine dust in of about 2 inches, 3 inches in size, it will do that quite happily. Open the checker right back up, go back to the 2 bars. 2 bars I find is a little bit higher pressure, so back down and it will happily atomise at a lower. Okay, so fully usable, nice compliant spray gun, does everything it says on the tin. I have noted on the internet whilst doing a search for this, there seems to be, and I'm going to say fake, but I don't think they are fake. There's a lot of these guns out there made in Japan. Not a problem, that's where they're made originally. Japan makes some of the finest engineering in the world. The steels they use, material they use, the machining is perfect. That's not a knock saying it's Japan, that's a plus. It's a very, very well made gun. I don't know whether this is just for the European market or whatever, but there is a few slight differences. So if you buy one of the ones that's cheaper in price, there is a slight difference. They don't have the Iwata print or embossing in the pot. That's missing. It's just a round pot, so whether it's a generic pot or whether they just don't endorse them. The other thing to keep an eye out for, when these are set up at the factory and tested by whoever makes them, they stamp their initials, and if you look at the Supernova, you look at the W400s, 300s, they're stamped to say, I believe it's the technician's guy that's done the final assembly or the final check, there's actually stampings, quite a crude stamping in the side, so I expect that could be replicated and faked quite easy, but all the Iwata ones are stamped. The rest of the gun, all the information, all the embossing, everything that's in the casting of the gun is the same in these other cheaper versions. Cheaper versions are like £60 a gun, plus postage obviously from Japan. These from Spray Guns Direct, in this setup, 1.5 H2 with the VAT and postage is £288. So it's not a cheap gun, but as you can see from what I've done on the wall there this morning, it's a very, very good quality gun. Paint's fantastic. A little bit of single gripe, when you're putting it on your spray gun rack, you have to put it in from the side as opposed to straight on. But one advantage I've seen of these side mounted pots, when you're painting something, if the pot is right on top of the gun, as 99% of the guns are these days, you can't see what you're doing until the pot has passed out of the way. So you're actually looking like 2 inches behind what you've actually painted. With these, I'm looking straight over the back of the gun and I'm looking exactly straight onto what I'm painting at the time. I can look at my fan pattern from behind, I can actually see how that's atomizing, I can actually see the droplets of paint coming off the gun, I can actually maintain my distance easier because I'm not having to judge how close the gun is or the air cap compared to where the pot is. So it's got lots of pluses, there's very few minuses. So With a gun of that quality, painting that well, that puts it as one of the top-notch. I classify this as small part approaching smart repair guns. That's basically what I'm going to be using it for. If you're only painting a bumper or so, like I've said, with a fan 9 inches wide, 3 or 4 passes on a bumper is fantastic, especially in all the little tricky areas of bumper mouldings where you've got a great big wide fan. You've either got to choose to reset your fan, touch in sharp edges and difficult areas on a bumper, go back to your main surface area bumper, widen it back up, carry on. It's a lot of messing about. This gun, set it once, that would do all that with one go. Minimum paint again, because this is a 400mm pot, so you don't need to mix a big pot or waste a big PPS cup. So fantastic gun, full thumbs up to me, or up to the gun I should say, or from me. Great gun, well usable, Iwata quality, can't fault it. Go and grab one, see how you get on, let me know. I've got another video today. I bought another type of sander, so I'm going to set up now, probably upload this first so you can have a gander at this, and then I'll show you the other thing that I bought. Keep watching and hope you enjoy.